Are you looking for inspiration on a daily basis? Then check out Deal to Heal Teas. With our inspirational teas, you're sure to find something to inspire you. That's dealtohealteas.com. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tea and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealteas.com. Again, that's dealtohealteas.com. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you'll enjoy the Girl Dad Discussion podcast. I'm your host, Ernest James, and I believe the relationship between a daughter and her father is one of the most important relationships a young lady can have. And therefore, my mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by sharing the voices of girl dads to the world. So check out our podcast on every platform where podcasts can be listened to. And if you want to watch the podcast, check us out on our YouTube channel. Again, that's the Girl Dad Discussions podcast with your host, Ernest James. Welcome to Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. On this podcast, my guest and I will discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can live a life that is happy, healthy, and whole. So I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to it. Welcome to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I am your host, Ernest James, and I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. Therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. If you haven't already, make sure that you listen, like, subscribe, and share to our podcast on all of our social media platforms, including our new YouTube channel. So make sure you guys checking us out on our new YouTube channel, which is the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network, where you will find the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Not only will you find that podcast, but you will also find the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. Again, that's on our new YouTube channel, the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. Make sure you guys go and check us out there. Also, as you guys know, we are a self-sustained podcast, and the way that we stay on the air is by bringing you amazing products for you to purchase. And so our product of the week is our Purpose Journal, as well as our Purpose Planner, because I believe we are to journal in order to remember where we've been and where we are, as well as plan for our future. So make sure you guys get your copy of our Purpose Journal, as well as our Purpose Planner, both of which can be purchased off Amazon. The links are in the description. Make sure you guys go, whether you're watching this on YouTube or whether you're listening to it on your favorite podcast platform. Make sure you look at the descriptions and get your links in order to get your Purpose Journal and Purpose Planner. And also, there's a lot of other great information in the description, so make sure that you go there to check that out. Today, just like any other day, we are blessed with a guest, Mr. Will Baker. How are you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm doing fine, man. How about yourself?
I am good. First of all, let me say thank you for being here, because you could have been anywhere else with anyone else, but you're here with me and my listeners, and we definitely appreciate it. So, Will, we're going to jump right in this thing, man. Do me a favor. Introduce yourself to my audience and tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Well, I am Will Baker. I am the body mechanic. I am a master trainer. I am a medical massage therapist, a mindset and purpose coach. I help repair people. So one thing about repairing people is that a machine cannot do what is cannot move at its ultimate being if it's not doing what it's supposed to do. So, what are you supposed to do? What are you designed to do?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. So, Will, one thing I know, and I often say this about those of us who are in the field of helping others, we generally have a story ourselves in which we needed help or received help, from others or helped ourselves through something that we've been through that made a difference in our lives. And once we've kind of got through those things, then we decided to not only relish in the fact that we made it through, but then go back to help others to make it through as well. So let's go back even into your own journey before becoming the body mechanic. Who was Will, and what was that transition like for you to become the person that you are today? And then also not to you just become it, but now helping other people to find their way as well.
Woo! We got to go back to 2016,
All right, let's
2017.
go. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, man. So around that time, I was a single parent. My son was 4 years old. I only had one at the time. I was, I was barely making it, man. I was barely making it. I'm somehow, some way, God provided for me to have housing. I had just got food stamps. Things were rough. It was so bad that I had to sell plasma to make money. And
Been
so
there.
one thing that I did was I always found solace in the gym. Like I always found that there. So I scraped pennies up and I ended up getting a gym membership, and I would just work out there, and then I ended up getting a job at McDonald's. Nothing wrong with McDonald's. I just know
Mhm.
it's the hardest working job I think I've had, and I said this job is definitely not for me because woo, that was work. So then I ended up leaving that, and mind you, I'm still in the gym. I'm still in the gym. I'm working out. I'm at the time I'm almost about 230. I came from 289, got myself down to 230, and I ended up getting a managerial position at the dollar store, and I'm in the dollar store. I'm working. Mind you, they were just handing those positions out to anybody at that time. That's
Mhm.
to anybody. And so it was like three managers on the floor with one employee plus a general manager. I'm like, how am I supposed to be in charge when everybody in charge? Now we have no direct leadership, right? Like there's no direct leadership, so it's all the stores in chaos. And I live by work smarter, not harder. So we
Mhm.
would have to unload the truck, and I'm like, all right, y'all, let's just create an assembly line and push this thing out. They like, nah, we gonna take it. So everybody grabbing packages. So we unload the truck from sun up to sundown. I'm like, look, this ain't for me, but I'm gonna keep it pushing. All right, I'm still in the gym, still donating plasma on the side, and I'm trying to make things work for my son. And so one day I walk outside. I was dealing with a young lady, and I haven't seen her in about 2 months. And I walk outside because I get a phone call. I hop on the phone call. I say, "Hey, what's going on? Who is this?" She said, "Oh yeah, so said, oh hey, how you doing?" She said, "Oh well, Will, I'm pregnant." What? Ain't no way. Nah, no way. I ain't talked to you in a couple months. Nah, you ain't pregnant. No, I'm pregnant. I said, okay, all right. While I'm standing there on the phone, one of the other three managers comes out, hands me a phone. Hey, here's the GM. Hello? Hey, Will, why are you outside on the phone? Mind you, I'm like this at this point. Why are you outside on the phone? Oh, I had to take a very important phone call. Well, I want you to get off my clock and you're fired. Same time. I'm like, what? I'm already barely making it. We ain't eating. My son's eating, but he ain't eating like how I would want him to eat. You know what I'm saying? I'm not eating how I want to eat.
Right.
I'm barely able to pay rent, and I just get fired from a job and I find out I got another baby on the way. So not only do I have an extra bill, I lose income to pay for the extra bill. So I'm like, okay, what do I do? So I know I'm in the gym. They got a personal training program. I here. I spent my last $100 to pay for the program because I said if I invest in my mind, I could potentially get some more income. I'm at home. I'm on the computer. I'm looking at these medical terms. I can't pronounce none of it. None of it. I don't know. I'm like, look, I don't understand what's going on. I need help. I understand I need help. So I hit up one of my high school tutors. I'm one of my high school teachers. And I say, hey, I need help. I'm trying to become a personal trainer. How can you help me? She said she charged $30 an hour. I just spent my last on this software, and I don't know when I'm going to have some more. I'm like, look, all right, okay, I'll get back with you. So so next step was I said, you know what? If I go to school, they got financial aid and they got tutoring. I said, well, maybe I don't have to pay them right away, but I can still get the knowledge now and make the money. I said, okay, cool. Let's go to school. Mind you, I'm not even driving either. I'm on the bus. So I'm on the bus. I take the bus up to the school. They just so happen to have a daycare in the school. So that's the first place I head because I got to make sure my boy good. So I said, hey, I'm at the head of school. School starts in 3 months. Is there any way that you have any room for my son so I can start school here? She said, I really like your initiative because most parents will wait to the last minute to try to get them in. I will save you a spot for your child. Sign up for school. You will be fine. I said, okay, thank you. I signed up for school. I'm in school now, you know. Fast forward, I'm in school. I found new study habits, things. The financial piece still rocky, you know, but I got financial aid coming in, so it's like, all right, it's a little bit better, you know. Then my mom started helping, so it's like, okay, because she started to see, because one thing I realized about life is nobody will believe in you if you ain't putting that work in. Mm-hmm. You'll ask for help all day long and you'll have a dream, but if you don't have a dream and somebody and you're not proving it to yourself and believing it in yourself, nobody else is going to help you achieve it either. So that was a lesson that I had to learn. And when she saw me putting the initiative, she saw me grinding, she saw me with my son, she saw all the work that I put in, she started to lend more of a helping hand. So one of the things that I learned in school was how to study, the importance of in the gym, because I was in the gym. I didn't really have to pay for the gym membership anymore because now I'm paying for it at the school. So now I don't have to worry about that. So I'm in school, working out. I start studying on the treadmill. I said, oh, this is nice. I said, this is a way for me to learn how to use two different parts of my brain, because it takes a certain level of focus to be able to walk, first of all, chew gum, and read. That's a certain level of focus. So I learned that. And so I said, okay, here's a tip. If you're really out here and you want to figure out how to study, a tip on how to study is if you have test anxiety, study in very chaotic environments. So I create a chaotic environment. So I studied on the treadmill. I made it hard for me because I had test anxiety. So it forced me to be uncomfortable. So once I get in the chair, I'm able to study. And then I'm able to take the test in another uncomfortable situation and pass it with an A. So that's just a tip out there for y'all. If you're a student and you really have test anxiety, for you to conquer that, try it. Might work. So I'm doing that, and then I go to the Arnold at an internship. I was at the YMCA, and I had an internship. Somebody came in there and said, "Hey, Will, you heard about the Arnold?" I'm like, "No, what's that?" It says bodybuilding. I said, bodybuilding? You talking about the guys that's all big and sweaty on stage posing? Like, I said, all right. I said, I check it out. I check it out. And at the time, I'm like 230, and I'm thinking I'm in shape. I mean, I'm thinking I'm looking good. At this time, I got a couple dollars coming in. So it's like, I'm taking a couple clients, so I'm applying what I learned in school to make some income at this point. So I go to the Arnold, and I'm thinking I'm in shape until I got to the Arnold and realized I wasn't in shape. I said, oh, we got work to do. I mean, I take my shirt, I take my jacket off. You know, I got an underarm on, walking around like this. You know, and I said, let me put my jacket back on, and let me get back to the gym, figure some stuff out. But I found a piece of my purpose. I found a piece of my purpose at the Arnold, and what I did was I saw a guy on stage and he was posing, and I said, I can do that. I looked at him and I said, I can do that. And I started practicing. Out there in the audience, I'm practicing. I'm like, I can do that. And I visualized myself on stage as if I was already there. One of the first steps to finding your purpose is you have to visualize yourself already there. So I'm on the stage. I mean, I'm not on the stage. I'm looking at him on the stage, and I go home afterwards. You know, after I'm exhausted. I've been there all day. It's hot. I done drove from Cincinnati to Columbus, so now I got to drive back. You know, I done spent money. I'm like, oh Lord, you know how I'm gonna get the money back I done spent on this stuff. So so I drive back, and then a couple days later, well, a couple weeks later, I see a guy on Instagram. It was to this day one of my favorite bodybuilders, Keon Pearson. He's 2-time 212 Mr. Olympia now. At the time he won, he was just a magnificent masterpiece on stage. And it was like, I saw that, and I went in my phone, and I Googled bodybuilding coaches near me. I did that. Bodybuilding coaches near me. I went there. I called the coach. Shout out to Coach Hank. That's my boy, you know, and he was like, I'll see you there at 10. I said, all right, I'm there. I've been working out for years. I'm good. I'm ready. I get there. I look at him, dead in his face. I say, I want to be the best bodybuilder in the world. He looked at me. To this day, we still laugh about that because I didn't know the type of work I had to put in to be the greatest. Like, he'll tell you, he said, man, I didn't know if you was dumb or really ready to win, but you kept on coming back. I say, because I was ready to win. I think you got to be a little bit crazy to be great. So,
right,
it's like a certain type of mindset. So, but I went, and then that's when I learned the importance of the emotional side of fitness, where it ties in to losing weight, where it ties into the connections to your life, and where it ties into all of that. Because I had to spend hours on that treadmill to get this weight off. I went from, when I met him, I was about 230. In order for me to win overall 3 first place trophies naturally in a bodybuilding show, I got to 169 from 230. Hours of cardio. But in that moment, the most important piece was learning how to forgive. I had to learn how to forgive. Forgiveness is all about self-love. See, self-love. You have to, once I forgave not only me, I forgave my mom. I forgave my birth mom because I'm adopted. I forgave myself for one, not respecting myself. I had to forgive myself. And a lot of people have a hard time. We often have a hard time with forgiving ourselves because we are our biggest critic. And we feel like we should know what we should already do, right? And it's like, nah, we're all learning. That's why I had to forgive my mother and my parents for what they were doing, because I had to realize that they were learning. They weren't perfect. They were learning what they were, just because there's no instruction manual on how to be a parent. There's no instruction manual.
Yeah.
And so
well, I wanna touch on that because and I'll mention it a little bit about it toward the end of the podcast because you're talking about forgiveness, and I actually do a workshop, a forgiveness workshop, and one of the things that I talk about is self forgiveness, right? Being able to forgive yourself for some of the things that you've done, in the past, that you still hold against yourself. And I think that's one of the things, like you said, even outside of losing weight and things of that nature, but just one of those things that we carry with us that burdens us is the things that we hold against ourselves. And sometimes we find it easy to forgive others who may have hurt you, forgive others for what they've done to you. But when it comes to us forgiving ourselves, like you said, we feel like we should have known better. Like I should have knew better than that. I should have made a better decision. I should have did things differently. But in the midst of that, at the time, you probably was doing the best that you knew how. And you probably was learning in the space of where you was trying to learn. Okay, what does it look like to be a parent? What does it look like to be a young parent? What does it look like to be a parent who didn't have a parent? You know what I'm saying? And so all of these things that we're dealing with a lot of the times, so we don't make the best choices or the best decisions in the middle of it. And then once we get through it, it's like, man, I should have known better, or I should have did this differently. And so we hold these grudges against ourselves, but we have to be able to start forgiving ourselves for those same things. And so when I talk about it, even in our workshop, I talk about the acronym of SELF when we talk about self-forgiveness. And the SELF stands for season of life, emotional state, limited information, and forgiveness by grace. Right. And so the season of life
Grace.
is what season of life were you in when you made that decision, right? And so I would just give the example when I was younger, you know what I mean? Let's say in my early 20s, as we all are, we just young and dumb. You know what I mean? Like we think we know what we know, we think
Woo!
we know
Superman
what we
complex.
want. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But now as a 49-year-old, and I look back at some of the choices I made when I was in my 20s, it's like, dude, you didn't know what you was
You.
doing. You know what I mean? But I'm able to give myself grace when I look at the season of life that I was in and acknowledge the fact that I was just young and dumb. You know what I mean? So I can say, oh, okay, I only made that decision because of the season that I was in. And because I couldn't help but be in that season at that time, I could give myself grace, and not continue to hold a grudge against myself for that mistake that I made at that time because I was just
You.
in that season of life. Right.
Yeah.
And then when we talk about emotional state, where were you emotionally when it happened? And so I think about, when my mom passed away, during that time period, emotionally, I was all over the place. You know what I'm saying? So there may have been some decisions that I made that now I may look back and be like, dang, I shouldn't have did that. But emotionally, I have to acknowledge that emotionally I wasn't myself. And so again, I can show myself grace in that space. And then the L stands for limited information. What information did I have or did not have when I made that decision? You know what I mean? Because a lot of times we make decisions off the information that we have at hand. And sometimes we just don't know all the facts. We don't know all the details. And so we make these decisions and then we look back and say, dang, I shouldn't have did that. But what information did I have? I only had the information that I had in order to move off from. And so when I used that information, that's what I came up with. But again, acknowledging that you didn't have all the information, show yourself some grace. And then when we get to the F in the acronym of self, is forgiveness by grace. And so when you look at the season of life that you are in, when you look at the emotional state that you are in, when you look at the limited information that you had and realize that in that moment you was doing the best that you could with what you had, then you're able to give yourself forgiveness by giving yourself grace, right? And so that's that self acronym: season of life, emotional state, limited information, and forgiveness by grace. And so that's the framework that I kind of work through with us in our workshops to be able to forgive ourselves for some of the things that we've done in our past. Because, like you said, that forgiveness piece is so important for us mentally, physically. You know what I'm saying? Because we continue to hold grudges, and the more we hold stuff in, it started to affect our health.
It
And now
turns
we're
it turns
emotionally,
cancerous.
yeah. So now we not only are we emotionally distraught, now we're starting to become physically distraught because we're holding these things in that we shouldn't be holding in. So I definitely like what you were saying on that piece, but I want to go back a little bit more because you said when you started going to the gym and you kind of found your purpose during that transition, during that time period. So in that time, with all the things that you were going through at that time, how did the gym begin to affect you or change you and mold you enough to now that you became to find your purpose for yourself first, even in that gym? Because someone told you about the Arnold and then you went to it and then now you're seeing something different, even for yourself, to be able to say, you know what, I can do that. I can do this thing that now I've been exposed to. So, how important was that journey for you to even finding your purpose, to help you find your purpose for yourself first before you even started to, work with others?
Well, something that allowed me in the gym was it showed me, it allowed me time with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so the isolation is very important. It's very important in terms of learning yourself, learning your mind, learning you. And then not only that, it allowed me to learn the emotional and learn how to compartmentalize emotion as a man. As a man, one of our greatest weapons is emotion. We use emotion as strength.
Mm-hmm.
And it taught me how to compartmentalize emotion. So when I'm going through something over here, I'm in the gym every day. So I know, all right, I can hold on to that for a little bit because I know I'm about to let it out over here. And I also know that because I'm a professional athlete, that is going to benefit my career because it's going to allow me to lift heavier weights for more reps to get the definition that I need. So I turn my negative into a positive, and I learned how to do that. And the gym allowed me that because and I love the gym. I love the gym because it's been so many added benefits to it though. And then like in bodybuilding, because I believe myself to be an elite being, like I believe to be like great. And like Muhammad Ali, the guy behind me, Muhammad Ali said I'm the greatest. I said that even before I knew I was. I would say that even when I didn't realize that I was great. I just said it. I said, I like that quote, but I'm going to say it. I said, I'm the greatest. I said that even before I knew I was. I'm 17 years old. I'm the greatest. I said that even before I knew I was. So then once I actually knew I was great, don't be good, don't be great. Now I'm an elite in everything that I do because bodybuilding is the elite of one of the elites of work of fitness. I'm a, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
I'm a 5% class of people. 5% of the people in the world can only bodybuild. It's about 5% of people. I like that. It allows me to be different. It allows me to have a class of my own, and it gives me value. Now I don't place all of my value in that because I also understand that one day it may end. And I don't want
Mm-hmm.
to lose myself in that.
Right.
So what I had to do was I had to say, I'm great with or without bodybuilding. I'm great without all of the gifts that God blessed me with. I'm great without all of that. I'm a man. My name is William Baker, and I'm the greatest. And I had to find that, and I say that because you have to believe in yourself before anybody else does. And the gym taught me that. The gym taught me that. The gym was my avenue of finding my what do I call it? My formula of success. Everybody has a formula of success. What's your formula of success? What do you do every single day that's going to lead you to greatness? So that's your formula of success. And then you take that and you move that over here. My first degree, I lived on C's get degrees. I lived on that. I did. I lived on C's get degrees. As long as I could pass, I'm good. But
I've
now that
never
I'm in my
heard
bachelor's,
that.
but
I've
now that
never
I'm
heard that one. I like that.
hey, for real. But now that I'm in my bachelor's program, I've been through a professional bodybuilder. Now I'm on this. Now I'm on Dean's List on my way to cum laude, right? I no longer believe C's get degrees because one, I've been running my formula of success so much that becoming great is easy for me. It's like riding a bike with no wheels. That's what it feels like being great now. And bodybuilding taught me that. Bodybuilding allowed me that.
Yeah, and
The gym did.
I like that concept because excuse me, I think we all have a I think we all have a gift. I'll call it a gift or a thing, whatever it is that we want to put a name to it maybe later that we have that it's kind of our comfort zone or our comforting zone. I don't want to say comfort zone because comfort zone is kind of like complacent, but it's our comforting zone where it's this space where we find peace. You know what I mean? And if we can find that space where we find peace and then add in the elements of the things that we want to help us to become great while and we're in our peace state, then I believe that it helps us to grow more, right? And so my example for myself is I always been into walking, right? I just walk every day, and I got a car, you know what I mean? I have several
Right.
cars. So it's not, you know what I mean? It's not because I don't have modes
So,
of transportation, but walking is always giving me, it was just always something that I enjoyed. I just get out and I just walk, right?
mm-hmm.
And so in that space, okay, what can I do more to help myself? So I started listening to audiobooks when I walk,
I
right?
like them.
And then more recently, I started running because I had stopped running a while back because I hurt my legs at work. And so I had
Mm.
stopped running. And then more recently, I was watching a friend of mine on Facebook, and she was training for a 5K. And I would
Mm.
just, encourage her and be like, hey, I see what you're doing or whatever. And so we were having a conversation, and she was like, why don't you train with me? Just, download this app or whatever. So I was like, all right, I'll try it out. But mind you, I had stopped running because I had hurt my legs. And
Mm.
so I hadn't ran in years. And so I was like, all right, well, let me just see what happened. And I started running. And I realized like, oh, my legs don't hurt no more. You know what I mean? Like I can actually run a decent,
Yeah,
time
you'll be able to
period.
get up. You'll be able to get out there.
And so I started, and within a couple weeks, I was like, man, I'm doing it. And I just ran my first 5K maybe like
Ooh.
weeks ago, and signed up for my second one. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I found that space. You know what I mean? I found that thing that helped me, you know, in that peace state. So I think that's kind of what you found in the gym. It was like, all right, I found this place where it gives me peace. Well, now let me add stuff to it where I can grow in this peace state. Like you said, you start studying while you're on the treadmill. You
Studying.
know what I mean? And bringing those things into your space. And I think that makes so much of a difference when we can, get into that personal development and really figuring out who we are and what we like and what we enjoy, and then also add that to who we want to be, and once we start putting all that together, then we start turning into the person that we want to be. Before we get out of here, one of the last things I want to talk about, I heard you mention it before earlier, but I want to get a little more deeper into it, which is that self-love piece, right?
Mm.
Because a lot of
Mm.
times, because of some of the things that we go through or some of the things that we've been through in our past, we have to refine that love for ourselves, some of us. And some of us never lose it. And then some of us, unfortunately, have never had it, right? Because maybe we weren't told by others, by those who, was supposed to encourage us and give us an identity of self-love. Maybe they didn't do that. And so we come into this world, and then we grow up without even knowing that we should love ourselves, and we look at ourselves because of the experiences that we've had. That's like, man, you know what I mean? That's messed up. My life is messed up, or I don't like this about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to find that self-love and really dive, do that personal work to say, what is it about me that I can appreciate about myself? And so in your journey, like I said, I know you mentioned it earlier about self love. How were you in that department? Even before kind of finding your purpose in the gym, and then even afterwards, after you've kind of found your purpose, You know what I'm saying? To be able to not only look on that stage and say, I can do that and believe in yourself, but then loving yourself enough to be disciplined enough to make that happen.
Man, so I'm gonna be honest with you. The confidence didn't come until I really started getting on the stage and I started really taking care of my body because I was a heavy alcoholic. Like I'm talking about 2/5 of liquor a day. I was doing that for like years, and so I was really worried about my liver. I'm like, how is my liver not messing up right now? But you know, and so I really didn't love myself at all. But then once I started to really work out, I was competing. Well, I was working out in the process because you have to enjoy the journey. You have to go through the process. You just don't get up. It took me I trained for a year, but once I took bodybuilding serious, it took me 4 months for me to get for my coach to get me together in order to get on stage. So once I got on stage, the first key, and I tell people this all the time, if you really want to learn how to love yourself, it starts up here.
Mm-hmm.
One, you have to start winning. Start finishing things through to the end. Because what that does psychologically, it gives you a dopamine high. It gives you a dopamine high and it allows you to feel a certain way about yourself. My first win was an overall 3 first places. I looked amazing. I'm talking about I looked that day on Showtime when I took my shirt off in the hotel mirror and I was like, that ain't me. I looked like literally somebody off of GQ magazine. I said, there's no way. And that was the start of me learning to love myself because I've appreciated what I saw. And then I got closer to God.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, okay, let me talk to the Lord. Because the Lord got me this far. Okay, so evidently talking to him does something. All right, let's come on, Father. Let's get a little bit closer. So I got a little bit closer to the Lord, and after I started to really gravitate towards him, and we would converse, we would talk. You know, he would show me the signs. I've gotten real spiritual to where I pay attention to what's going on, and then I started to appreciate myself even more. But then we go back to the part of forgiveness, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to forgive yourself. In order to love yourself, you have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive yourself from the wrongdoings that you've done to the vessel that you had. See, I couldn't compete and drink that amount of liquor at the same time because it hurt.
Right.
I mean, it hurt. I mean, my body was dehydrated and I'm trying to lift, and my coach wasn't pulling back no punches every single day. You know what I'm saying? He Mike Tyson, I'm everybody else. Like he wasn't pulling back no punches. So I had to make that decision. Like, okay, am I either going to take care of this vessel the way I need to so I can progress? I saw the negative effects that the alcohol was having. I was losing friends. I wasn't keeping friends. I wasn't having a great life. I wasn't happy. I was depressed. I was chubby.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wasn't happy with what was going on. So I had to make a decision. Was I going to change my life for the better? So then it started to become more self-love. And then before the love even happens, and fellas, men, our first go-to really isn't love. It's always respect. I had to respect myself. I had to respect myself first. I had to respect myself in order for me to love myself. Because you can't love something you don't respect.
Mm-hmm.
I had to respect myself, which means I said, okay, fix your look up. All right, you're taking care of your body. Let's change that food up. Feed it good foods. Because now we want sustainability. We want the long haul. We don't want to do this for a short period of time. And then no, we want the long haul. We want to be able to do that. See? So it's about respect. So the first one is forgiveness. Then we got respect. Then we can go into the self-love. But then there's a fourth step, right? Gratitude. I was thankful for God for even allowing me to, first of all, overcome the things that I've overcame, look at it as character development so I can be the person that I need to be to help the people that need to be helped. It's all character development.
Yeah.
I looked at all the negative things that happened to me and the stuff that I did that I ain't had no business doing. I looked at it as character development to show me from right from wrong, to mold me to be the man that I am, so I can present myself in a professional way, in the best way that I can, so I can help design the machines that need to be designed.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, man. Will, I really appreciate you being on, man, to coming on and share your story.
Appreciate it, man.
Um, so let's before we get out of here, real quick, so you mentioned about you're a coach, and you said your moniker is the body mechanic. So tell us a
Yeah.
little bit more about your training and your training style for those, and where you're located, for those who may be looking for someone of your stature to help them
Okay.
out.
So yes, I am. I'm located in Cincinnati, Ohio. I do also offer online training as well. So I believe I got a link. So I click the link, or you can hop on my YouTube, which is Will's Wellness Motivation. Yeah, we got to put the underscore. Got to put the underscore in between the Will's Wellness and the motivation to make sure you get it. And so, but I'm more of I'm a body sculptor. So when you come see me, I'm a body sculptor. I look at bodies as art. So my thing is, what I'm doing when you come to me, I visualize you, I see you, and you tell me where you want to go. And when you tell me where you want to go, my job is to make sure, as the body mechanic, that we fix you and repair you to become the person that you want to be. You want to be a swimsuit model? Hey, come on, I got you. I got the perfect design. You tell me where you want to go, I got you. You just want to lose weight, you want to be happy, I got you. You want to be a bodybuilder, I got you. You want to be a power lifter, I got you. If you just want to get up so you can raise the grandkids, I got you. This is what I do. This is what I do. I am a repairman of bodies. So
All right.
I have a very extensive my resume goes crazy. So
Right.
you know.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, again, I appreciate you being on, man,
I
and
appreciate
sharing
you for
your
having
story.
me, man.
Oh, no problem, no problem. I want you to have the last word, right? And I want you to leave us with a word of advice or motivation, or however you feel, to leave the audience with something that they can take from this interview. I also want you to leave us with your social media handles and your websites and all of those spaces, even your YouTube channel, where we can find you. And so, in order for us to also support you in the work that you're doing. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about that. To my listeners, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Make sure you guys are checking us out on our official website, the dealhealfulfill.org website. Also, my new website, as you guys know, I am a speaker, and my new website is ernestjamesspeakslife.com. Again, that's ernestjamesspeakslife.com. I don't have a visual for it at this moment, but I will have one. So make sure you guys are going to check us out there, ernestjamesspeakslife.com, as well as the Deal Heal Fulfill .org. Make sure you guys are checking us out. Also, make sure you guys go to ebooksbyejames.com to purchase some of our ebooks that we have available. One of our ebooks is The Core Four, which is the 4 core values that every daughter should get from her father. There also is a ebook called From Males to Men, which is a male mentoring ebook for young men. But one of my favorites that is there, we talked a little bit about it earlier, is Forgiving Me, the 4-step guide to self-forgiveness. That is also available at ebooksbyejames.com, as well as some other ebooks that are there as well. So make sure you guys go to ebooksbyejames.com in order to purchase some of our ebooks. Also, check us out on our inspirational t-shirt line, which is deal2healtees.com. That's deal, the number 2, heal tees Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. That is our tagline. Make sure you guys go check us out there, as well as our podcast merch, which is our t-shirts with our podcast logos on it. There's one for the Girl Dad Discussions podcast and also one for the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. And last but not least, we talked a little bit about it earlier. Over the last couple of years, I've been blessed to be a part of an organization called the Forgiveness Mission. And what we do, we have free virtual workshops bi-monthly talking about everything surrounding forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, even forgiveness of the world. So whenever you're listening to this podcast or watching it, either a workshop just ended or one is coming up. So you can go to forgivenessmission.com in order to sign up for our next free virtual workshop on forgiveness. Or you could go to Eventbrite and look up the forgiveness workshops sponsored by the Forgiveness Mission. Again, these workshops are absolutely free, but the information is priceless. So make sure you guys go to forgivenessmission.com to sign up for our next free virtual workshop. Mr. Baker, once again, let me say thank you very much for being on to share your story and your expertise. I want you to have the last word, so the floor is yours.
All right. One, I want to appreciate you again for having me on this podcast, Deal to Heal. It was an amazing time. And I would like to leave the audience with this. One, believe in yourself. You are a winner. You are a champion. You can be focused, disciplined, and consistent in whatever you want to be. You can do it. All of us have a purpose and a gift. Figure out what yours is, and let's change the generations in your family with that. When there's a will, there's a way.
And what is your social media, Will?
On my social media, I'm sorry. Look, my social media is Will's Wellness LMT on Instagram, Will's Wellness LMT on Facebook, and Will's Wellness _ motivation on YouTube.
All right. So we can't end it no better than that. To my listeners, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, where our mission is to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Until next time, you guys be blessed. Thanks for listening to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Remember to listen, like, subscribe, and share. This episode has been brought to you by Deal to Heal Tees. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealtees.myshopify.com. Remember, our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for listening.